Welcome back to episode 3 of the Get Up and Glow podcast. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about the 24 things I have learned in 24 years. So yes, that is right. My 24th birthday is coming up on January 30th. I am very excited. And with every single year, when my birthday arrives, I spend the entire month leading up to it, essentially reevaluating my entire life, just to figure out where I'm at. Am I happy? The answer is yes. With that being said, I've learned a lot in 24 years. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I also done things that were really great for my life, and half the time those things are unintentional. So here I have documented the most important 24 things I have learned in my 24 years, so I can share them with you guys, so you can learn from my mistakes, you can learn from my successes, and get more of it. So there's nothing better than learning from someone else's mistakes, so you don't have to make them on your own. So here we go. Without further ado, 24 things I've learned in 24 years. Okay, number 1, people pleasing harms people. I know that sounds crazy. How could people pleasing harm people? You're trying to please them, you're trying to make them happy, so how can that be harmful? Well, let me tell you, people pleasing truly harms both parties, and I have learned this from a very young age, but I didn't really start taking my own advice or getting that to sink in until my late or my mid-20s. I guess I'm in my mid-20s now. So hear me out. When I was a kid, I was a huge people pleaser, and I kind of still am a little bit. I'm still working on it, but I was so much of a people pleaser that it would actually bite me in the butt. For example, sometimes you want to tell somebody what they want to hear, or what the nice thing is to do, even if it doesn't make sense and it hurts that person in the process. For instance, say you planned to hang out with your best friend because she came to you and said, hey, I know we are in a big group of people now that we entered high school, for instance, and that's great and all, but I really miss you, and I would love to have a one-on-one time with you. And you as a friend are like, yeah, of course, that's great, because as much as you love hanging out in a big group of people, sometimes it is nice to have one-on-one time with a specific friend, because I am all for having different friends for different reasons. Someone's the party friend, someone's the friend that you want to do book clubs with, someone's the friend you want to go take Instagram pictures with, etc. There's different types of friends for different activities you want to do. So say if that one friend and you make a little date of one-on-one time, and somebody else asks you in that friend group what you're doing that day, it can be very hard to say that you're busy, and when they, of course, because it's never I'm busy, okay, cool, it's always, well, doing what? So if that person asks, what are you doing, it is hard to admit, hey, I'm hanging out with so-and-so, and leaving it at that, because you feel that pressure, the people pleaser in you would feel that pressure to say, hey, do you want to come over, you can hang out with us, or I can ask so-and-so. So often what people do is they lie, or they try to talk their way out of it to make themselves feel comfortable, because they feel like they're going to be mean by just saying, hey, I'm hanging out with so-and-so, they really wanted one-on-one time, and I would love to actually have that time with you too, so I'm busy on Saturday, but what about next Saturday, you and I go to the movies, because I would love to spend some time with just you as well, to get to know you better, or nurture our relationship a little bit more. Instead of doing that, most people just get nervous, especially when you're younger, and they word vomit, and they try to talk their way out of it, or beat around the bush, or essentially do anything other than the uncomfortable thing about, hey, I'm hanging out with this person, she really, etc. She just wants one-on-one time with me, she's been missing me a lot, and I think that's okay, you know what I mean? If they feel uncomfortable just coming out and saying that, and that's something I've learned. That's just one example of people pleasing and how it can harm both people, because of course, if you make up a lie at a young age, because we've all done that, and they find out about it, it's just gonna be worse than just telling someone the truth right off the bat. Sometimes it's not that deep, and it's not that big of a deal just to come out and say, hey, or even if it's I don't want to go out. If you just want to sit at home and watch Netflix all day, that's totally okay. Just tell someone that. Sometimes I find it in life, what I've learned is just being honest about your intentions or what you're going to do is always going to be more beneficial than trying to talk your way through a lie to save someone's feelings, because half the time you're not saving their feelings anyways, because they're either going to pick up on it super fast that you're lying, and it's going to look super bad or super cringy. But not only that, say if they do honestly believe you and then they find out you were lying, that's going to be worse than if you just told someone, hey, I didn't want to hang out because I'm tired, or hey, yeah, I really want to see this friend, I've already made plans. It's not that I don't love you and want to include you in on them, it's just that we've already made these plans and I want to honor that commitment first, but I would love to hang out with you another day. That's just an example of how people pleasing harms people. Number 2, own what makes you different. I had a YouTube channel from a very young age. I thought I was going to be the next Mac Barbie '07 or Bethany Moda. I thought I was going to be a star. I thought I was destined for stardom and nothing could stop me. I had a YouTube channel from the age of 12, like gap teeth, the whole thing. And I owned it. Like I started off from the get-go, like posting twice a week for years. Did I blow up? Absolutely not. Ironically, my one video that did blow up blew up after I finally stopped. But the reason I eventually stopped was just because I became busy. I grew up and I wanted to hang out with my friends and I didn't have time to edit videos all the time. But with that being said, people made fun of those videos for years. I remember going into grade 9 and the upperclassmen found these YouTube videos and they would call me by my YouTube handle because that was back when it was like YouTube, like usernames like a GC07 opposed to just like having the name like Madison, for instance. So I was Glitzy Girl 540. So they would call me Glitzy everywhere. They'd call me on my cell phone after school and like try to bother me about it. People would like shout Glitzy up the hallways, but my delusional self thought that meant they thought I was so cool. Like that was me thinking, wow, I am truly famous. Like I don't know how someone so young got the confidence to just be like, yeah, I'm Glitzy, what's up? But that was the best thing I could have done for myself. Because honestly, though they're definitely trying to troll me, I became in on the joke, and I feel like it stopped because they realized I wasn't going to stop making content just because they're bullying me about it or making fun of me about it. And I didn't really care. Like I actually like not threw it back, but I accepted it and I laughed it off and I was genuinely not bothered by it. And I think that type of confidence made the whole YouTube thing not a big deal. So people just knew me as, oh yeah, that girl makes videos. And I think that's something great that we should take into our lives. You know, the concept of, yeah, I'm doing something that everyone else is doing. Yeah, it can be a little weird. Yeah, it can be a little cringy. So what? Normalize the yeah and. If someone comes up and says, oh, you're making TikToks? That's so weird. Just go, yeah, and? Because it's not a big deal. It's truly not. And I think if someone's trying to tear you down or make fun of you, brush it off. It doesn't really matter. For little comments like that, just show them that you genuinely are unbothered and they're going to eventually stop. Walk through life with like an intense, almost toxic level of confidence. Is that horrible to recommend? I don't know, but it worked for me. I don't know who I thought I was, walking around thinking some upperclassmen were thinking I'm like the coolest star ever. But that's what I genuinely thought. I love my videos. I was proud of those videos and nobody was going to stop me. So that is a great thing, a lesson I've learned. And I know as I grew up, like I reflected on that and I'm really proud of my younger self for like dealing with it in that way. Number 3, don't wish the time away. This happens to everyone at any stage of life. You know, when I was younger, I couldn't wait to be 16 and have a cell phone and have a boyfriend. And then when I was 16, I couldn't wait to be in a condo and work in the city and have a boyfriend. And now I have all of those things and a boyfriend. Wow, my younger self would be so proud. Now I'm like, okay, I want to get married. I want to own a home. I want even more money. It's never ending and you want to wish your life away. And it's so funny because every time I get to the where I wanted or where I wished I was going to end up in my life, I always looked back and missed being younger at every stage of my life. I missed high school thinking, oh my God, I had no responsibility. I had so much free time on my hands. Then I missed elementary school because of even more free time and the innocence, like just being a kid at Christmas, etc. There's so many good things about being in each stage of life, which is like the blessing of getting older, because with every year comes new experiences. And I think we forget that one day we're going to look back on the moments we're currently in, or the years or eras, if you will, that we are currently living, and wish we were more present in them opposed to just wishing them away. So that's something I've learned and I work on. And whenever I try to tell myself, oh, I can't wait, I'll just be happy when, I stop myself and I say, no, it's not I'll just be happy when, it's I'm going to be happy now. And that is something I've learned, which has been really beneficial in living my life. This is directly related, but the next thing I've learned is do not waste time over planning your life, in particular when you are in a relationship with someone. So I've learned this the hard way. Before I moved out, I thought my life plan was going to be a lot different. I thought I was going to buy a home. I thought I was going to live out in the country. And basically everything that I planned and spent so long planning did not happen. I'm living in the city now. I'm renting with my boyfriend in a condo, which we love. It worked out for us. But when I tell you, we spent hours, probably days in total, mapping out our entire lives, looking on MLS, trying to find the houses we were going to buy, even though we weren't even intending to buy for another year at that point. Like I thought I had to have every single aspect of my life figured out, down to like the financial plan, the exact location and proximity from work, when I wasn't even in the market at that stage. So what I've learned is it's good to have dreams and have goals and set yourself up for those goals. For instance, if I want to buy a house in 2025, it would be smart to make a financial plan to help me get to that point. But I'm not going to start looking at locations, houses on MLS, etc. until I'm actually in that moment where I have that money saved, I have that secure relationship, and I'm ready to actually start going forward and buying a house, because it's such a waste of time, energy, and just effort trying to plan your whole life around something that probably won't happen, because let's be real, nothing ever truly goes as planned. So wait until you're in that moment to genuinely think everything out. It's good to have goals, but over planning is just not worth the mental effort. Okay, and the next thing I've learned is you'll know when it's time for a change when you feel the click. At every big moment in my life when I decided to make a change, it truly was just like a click. It just went off in my brain. I remember when I was working at Dairy Queen, all of a sudden I opened up my schedule and I saw that I wasn't having a lot of hours, and I don't know, it was a click. I said, I'm gonna do an office job. I want an office job. I looked on MLS. I looked on LinkedIn, and I got a job at a real estate office, hence why I keep bringing up MLS. And just like that, like the next day, I went and interviewed and got that job. Like with the decision to change that job and move into an office level job, or like an entry office job, was like so quick. And I know that sounds bad, because like you should think of things out in more depth, but like when you're young and you're just working part-time, like it's not as deep as a giant career change. But it's funny because whenever people think, oh, should I leave my job, for instance? Should I do this? Should I move out? Should I break up with him? What my answer to that is, if you're having a big question of like the should I's, like literally just wait it out, because one moment you will wake up and feel the click, and you are not ready to make that change often until you feel that click. Now I know that there's situations that may not apply. If it's an unhealthy situation, you can't just wait until you feel it, and you should try and make efforts to change your situation if possible. But if you're someone who's waiting for like a sign, or really on the fence of like what you should do about a situation, like wait for the click, because one day you're just gonna realize it's time and the click's gonna happen, and that is great. And it's always happened to me. So I've learned whenever I'm in a stressful situation of like, should I do this? I'm not even gonna get into it too deep, but just wait for the click. Okay, the next thing is, just because someone is mad at you does not mean they hate you. I've still deal with this. Every time someone gets mad about something, I think, oh my God, they hate me, they don't want to be my friend anymore, etc. Or, oh my God, they hate me, they're going to fire me, etc. That is not the case. People get annoyed. It's just normal. I get annoyed. My friends, I'm sure, get annoyed with me. When you spend a lot of time with somebody, it just happens. The important thing is, when someone does get upset and frustrated, if they communicate with that to you, that's amazing. Because in my mind, it's not a problem unless someone addresses it. If they're going to be mad and not tell you, that's not your fault. It's nothing you can really be concerned about. But if someone brings up a problem or something you've said and done that was wrong, like, the best thing you can do is admit that you are wrong, find ways that you can prevent that from happening, communicate that you care about that person, and just own it, and then move on. It's going to be awkward at first, but like most of the time, like in relationships, like think about like your parents, for instance, like how many times you've gotten into little spats with like your parents or your siblings. Like, does not mean that you don't love them. It just means that in the moment they were driving you nuts, and that's normal, and that's okay. The next thing I've learned is you are the main character of your own life, but nobody else's. This is important, and I still need to be reminded, because the way I think I am the main character of everyone's life sometimes is like kind of toxic. And I don't mean that in like a narcissistic way, but I think that, especially with today with social media, everyone posts and they overthink everything. I don't FaceTune my photos, but I used to way back when, and I used to spend hours editing them to perfection because I thought for some reason I had to post like I was some celebrity because, people were waiting to see my Instagram posts and I had to have the perfect body, and that's just not the case. People do not care. Like, they're gonna see your post, think it's cool, tap it, and then scroll, and they're gonna be on to the next thing. So going back to just like, you are the main character of your own life. Like, enjoy your life, live it to the fullest, take those Instagram pics. I know I sure do. But don't post or do things for other people because you think that they're waiting for you. Like, you're a celebrity that everyone is obsessed with. Like, that's not the case. Like, everyone's dealing with their own stuff. Everyone has their own things that are important to them. So yeah, just like own it and live your life, live your best life, and support other people and let them live their best lives as well. Okay, the 7th thing I've learned is you are the main character of your life, but nobody else's. This is something that's important to remember because, in a world where we post everything on social media, sometimes we overshare because we think that people are interested in it. I used to be so bad at oversharing, and it's just not the case. Sometimes, it's just good to keep things to yourself. Not everybody needs to know my morning, what I eat for breakfast every single morning, like I literally used to do, or every aspect of your relationship with somebody. That's important to you, but not to everybody else because you are not the main character of their life. So with that being said, post what you want, but don't feel the pressure to, edit everything or making everything perfect because, you feel like sometimes you can get carried away thinking like we are the Kim Kardashian of our own Instagrams, which is great if you enjoy that, but don't put pressure on yourself to be perfect because in reality, like, everyone is living their own lives, dealing with their own things. They're going to see whatever you post online, double tap it or not, and then just swipe away and just forget about you. I know that sounds sad, but your friends, your family, the people who genuinely care about you the most. But with the little things that mean so much to you, they don't necessarily mean so much to other people. So it's really important to make sure that you're living like a genuine life that you enjoy because you like it, and not live for somebody else or try to fit into a certain box for somebody. Because at the end of the day, like, if you morph your entire life for a person or for an ideal, that's not going to be you living your best life. You won't be happy. And again, those people that you're trying to please most often will be happy, but they will probably think about you for like a few moments of their day and move on to whatever else is going on in their life. Number 8, spending money on experiences is always worth it, sometimes even more so than materialistic items. I've learned this as I was entering my early 20s, where I wanted to do so much. I wanted to go on all of these trips, but then again, I wanted all of these clothes, all of these fancy things I was seeing online, and I took a step back, and obviously you can't spend money on everything, although it would be nice, and early on to my relationship with my current boyfriend, Zachary, I suggested instead of doing gifts, we do experiences. So for Valentine's Day or for birthdays or for Christmases, we'll do things like going to the day spa, going to Niagara Falls on a trip, etc. And that is the exact money we would have really spent on each other anyways. So it's more beneficial for our relationship because we get to spend time with each other. It's more beneficial for our relationship because we get to spend time with each other. We get to enjoy those moments. We get to look back on those memories as we grow older. In my mid-20s, I learned the importance of experiences. For instance, if I'm going to spend money on something, I want to make sure I'm getting an experience out of it. So this could be as simple as, instead of ordering, takeout through Uber Eats, like, go to the restaurant and actually enjoy the food that you're ordering with the ambiance around it. Enjoy the people who you're eating with, etc. This makes it an experience, an outing that you're actually going to remember, and it makes your money, it's well spent, opposed to, eating on your couch alone. Sometimes you want to do that, it's totally okay, but there's nothing better, it's kind of like the difference between getting coffee in your car when you're in it through a drive-through versus like drinking coffee at a coffee shop while reading a book. In my experience, spending money on those experiences are always better served. I feel better afterwards, and I feel like it's money well spent. So in every aspect of my life, I look for ways to spend on experiences opposed to actual, just like the materialistic item. Number 9, you are a reflection of the people you surround yourself with. This could not be more true, and the older I get, the more I look back on my life and realize just how true that statement is. All of the friend groups I've had have been associated with different eras of myself, and they've all been good because, I've learned a lot through all the different versions of myself. But when I tell you I have been the goody two shoes, I have been the rebellious one, I have been the really smart girl who's obsessed with studying and coffee, and then I was the Game of Thrones girly who wore sweatpants and no bras for a year, which was one of my weirdest eras. And now I'm just me, and I'm living my life. But now that I'm an adult, I can look back and see the people I hung around with, their interests had a direct implication on the type of person I was in that era. Not saying that I morphed my interests just based on the type of person so they would like me type of thing, but I think it's just there's different seasons of life you're in. The who you surround yourself with is gonna be who you eventually become. So I think when you're younger, it's not something you have to end all be all. You have to surround yourself with successful, hardworking people. It's not that deep. Surround yourself with people you just genuinely care about. But as we age, there's going to be friends that you're no longer going to be compatible with, and that is okay, because if you surround yourself with people who are not functioning at the same frequency as you, it's going to be harmful for you both. And I think that the best thing that I've ever did was go to university and surround myself with people who are like-minded individuals that are really goal-oriented. They have tons of different experiences. I have so many different friends. We have friends who travel the world. I have friends who are the most amazing workers. I have friends who are the most creative people I've met. And all of those friends I surround myself with kind of make up who I am. So that is the biggest thing I've learned, and I always look for to attract people into my life that are genuinely good, and whatever that may be. They don't have to be the smartest person, or they don't have to be, the fanciest person. I'm just looking for people who I want to become. If I had to switch lives with that person, I would still be proud. That's the type of person I want in my life. Okay, the next thing I have learned is you don't get what you don't ask for, period. The worst thing someone can say when you ask for something is no, so ask anyways, within a reason. But I've learned, I get so many things for just asking. If it's simple as, you go to a hotel and you ask for a free upgrade or ask for a late checkout, they 99% of the time will give it to you. So ask away, because the worst thing someone can say to you is no. The next thing I've learned is everybody has big loser energy. I think we are all just people walking around on Earth trying to be cool and feeling like we are the biggest imposters in the world. Everyone who I've met, even the coolest people, people who I think are the absolute most amazing people on the planet, will say things that make me feel like they do not realize how cool they are, which is so funny. And I think that's just so true. I think every single person doesn't realize how they're perceived. Everyone's a little bit insecure, deep down, and they just want everyone to like them. We are all big people-pleasing losers on this earth, and that sounds so rough, but it's totally true. Everybody is going through these same things. Everyone experiences imposter syndrome. Everyone second guesses themselves sometimes. So if you're doing that to yourself, just know that that person is doing it too. I say this to my friends all the time. For instance, if you are wanting to ask for a raise, but you're super nervous to ask your boss, if you work for a bigger company, like my friend does, that boss is gonna ask their boss for a raise too. They're in the same boat. We all are people sharing very similar human experiences. We just aren't aware of it. So we all have big loser energy. So if you feel like you aren't good enough, you are 100%. You are, and I bet you everyone else here is thinking that they're not good enough too. But we all are worthy, and we all are amazing people. So that's something that we need to know. The next thing I've learned is balancing masculine and feminine energy is so important. We all have both energies within us, and sometimes we can get stuck in one, especially during, different seasons of our lives. For now, if you are working or if you're studying, often we operate in the masculine, and that can be very draining, and I think it leads to burnout, and especially if you don't take a step back and nurture your feminine side, so operate a little bit slower, self-care, take time for you, be creative. It's really important that we balance out both energies to be the happiest, most content version of ourselves. The next thing I learned, which is debatably one of the most important things in this video, is to move in silence. This is something I have had to learn the hard way. I'm sure everyone listening to this has experienced this in some way, shape, or form, where you have a plan that's coming up, and either A, you tell everyone about it and it doesn't happen, or B, you tell everyone about it and everyone takes your idea. Although imitation is the most sincerest form of flattery, sometimes you don't want someone else to beat you to the bush. It's kind of like way back when I was getting my G2, my driver's license, I told everybody, I was like the oldest in my class because I'm a January baby, hence my birthday coming up, but I told everyone in my class that I was about to take this driving test, and so much so that when I came back from being absent from school to take the test, I've failed it. Everyone in the whole school knew I failed, and it was like the most embarrassing thing ever. In reality, it's not deep. Going back to what I said before, we're all just big losers. Everyone has failures that they're ashamed of and whatever, but I was so embarrassed, and I've learned kind of in that point, and I made mistakes more along the way where I would tell people my intentions of doing something, and it either just didn't happen, or it did, but it bit me in the butt in the long run. So move in silence. If you are planning on doing something, do that independently until you actually achieve it. Of course, you can bring people who you care about into the mix if you genuinely want their opinions and support, but be careful with who you share your intentions to, because not everybody is going to have your best interest at heart. Okay, the next thing is really important too. Be careful what you disclose about your relationships with other people, because you may forgive that person, but if you tell somebody who loves you something that someone else did that hurt you, that person will not forgive and forget as easily as you may, especially if they don't really love or like that person who hurt you in the first place. So it's important to talk about arguments, especially in relationships. Like, it's good to have someone else to vent to that you really trust, but keep in mind when you're telling someone something that happened in a relationship, if say like you had a really big fight with your boyfriend, wait on it before you tell people, because it will change your best friend's version of that person, that boyfriend, in their head, and that's going to be really hard to repair. So you forgive them in a week or day, a month, whatever, depending on the severity of the situation. Like, they won't be as quick to do that, and that's going to take a lot of work, and you're going to have to heal from that. I'm talking about more like the larger fights. Obviously, like, your boyfriend leaving socks on the ground in your apartment is not going to be like, your best friend's not going to be like, oh my gosh, I hate him. But when you have, or even if in friendships, when things like that happens, telling your parents, like, the people who love you aren't going to forgive the people that hurt you as easy as you will forgive those people if you do love them deeply, if that makes sense. So before you go and disclose every little argument or every little thing that's going on in a friendship, in a relationship, be careful and really can stop and consider, am I going to be over this by tomorrow morning? Because if you are, then you're going to give an illusion of that person. It's going to damage that reputation and the eyes of the other person that you care about too. So just be really considerate when talking about or disclosing relationship issues. Okay, the next thing is good things happen to people who believe that they will. Being positive totally works. Of course, like, sometimes bad stuff happens, and I know that I've lived a very privileged life where I've never had any insane loss or anything extremely traumatic happen to me so far, and I know that because of so I'm very blessed, and it's easy for me to say, oh, positivity works. So I understand and sympathize with people who are going through really traumatic, really hard times. And I'm not saying that, okay, just be positive and I'm not promoting toxic positivity. But with that being said, having that mindset that good things are coming, even when you're in bad places, usually helps. In my experience, even when I've been through bad times, because although I've not been nothing through traumatic, I have bad times. When I stop and say, you know what, I am really hurting right now, but good things happen to me and it's gonna come and the light's coming soon. It always does. So I think having that mindset and trying to be positive helps. It helps attract good things into your life. Okay, the next thing is never tell somebody something that you don't want at least one other person to know. Because let's be real, everyone has that other person that doesn't count. Like, everyone does. And I know that. When I tell my friends something, I know that they're going to tell at least one other person. Either their best friend or their boyfriend. Like, I'm just assuming that they know. They're going to know. Unless, there's obviously people that you really do trust where I know if I told my best friends something and I said, don't tell your boyfriend or don't tell, like, really seriously don't tell anyone, I trust them that they wouldn't. But if I don't disclose that information, if I just tell them a secret or something without being like, do not tell somebody, the likelihood that they're going to tell at least one other person that they trust, that like is the person that doesn't count, is extremely high. So especially if you're younger, please take this advice. Like, be careful what you tell other people, because gossiping is just, it's natural and it's not right, but it happens. So be careful with who you trust and who you talk about. Just try to, not say anything that you wouldn't want someone else knowing about. Or especially if you're talking about someone else that's bothering you, going back to what I said before and another tip, like, sometimes just don't. Just cope with it. If you're annoyed at somebody, just cope with it on your own, because it's a lot better than doing that than telling someone and venting to someone and then having that get back to another person, hurting their feelings, especially when you get over it in the next day. Okay, the next thing is it's important to start thinking about your finances at a young age. Thank gosh I started doing this. My boyfriend has been amazing at helping me plan out my finances, but even before I met him, I went in and wanted to start saving for retirement. I remember going into the bank at like 18, wanting to open up an RS, or retirement savings plan, and the guy was looking at me like, you're 18 years old, that is crazy. But it is never too late to start thinking about your financial future and getting used to budgeting. That's something that's really important, especially in today's economy. So learn those skills at a young age. Your future self will thank you for it. Okay, the next thing is kind of controversial, but it is duct tape isn't repression, it is peace. So people are gonna be like, what is duct tape? I refer to duct tape as like figuratively imagining there's a duct tape, like a piece of duct tape over my mouth when I want to say something that I just really shouldn't say. That sounds so toxic, but hear me out. Sometimes we complain about everything and we nag, and sometimes it's just not worth that peace. If you're in a relationship and there's going to be 101 things that bother you about the other person, or even like really, really close friendships or relationships with your parents, sometimes you just stop and take a step back and be like, is it really worth the argument? Sometimes it's not. And in those moments, just duct tape it. For instance, if you're driving in a car trying to get somewhere and someone takes a wrong turn, instead of being like, why did you take that turn? I told you to turn right, and having a big argument about that and arriving at your destination upset, sometimes just duct tape it. It's not worth the argument. Protect your peace, and everyone's going to be a lot happier. I'm not saying that, with that being said, I'm not saying to never bring up things when they're wrong. I'm just saying choose your battles wisely. The next thing, you succeed when your friends do. Normalize being happy for your friends' successes without comparing yourself. Everyone operates at a different speed in life. Everyone wants different things. What you want or what's good for you is not necessarily what's good or for someone else, or what even they want to, and recognize that. I am so happy where I finally got to the point in my life where I'm genuinely so happy for all of my friends. And that's something that's hard, I think, with people, especially when you graduate university. Everyone compares themselves to each other. Oh, she got a job super quick, or oh, they're making X amount of dollars, or oh, they moved out to here. And like, everyone is trying to figure out, like, am I making it? And going back to, we're all big losers, the big loser energy, just trying to figure out if we are living up to like the person that we're supposed to be. Yes, you are. Like, you are living the version of your life that like you're supposed to be living, and that version is completely different from someone else's version. So be happy for your friends. Their successes are amazing. Don't discredit yourself because you're not there, you're not achieving that, you're not making as much money as a friend, or you're not moving out at the same time as your friend, or you don't have as many friends as your other friend. Like, it does not matter. Be happy for them, watch them grow, root for them, because the people who do that and are supportive of their friends, like from a good, genuine place, you're gonna attract good things too. Negativity will always bite you in the butt. Jealousy is not a good thing to have. It's very hard to overcome, but keep yourself in check. Notice when you are getting jealous and remind yourself that it is okay, because what is meant for you will come to you. So hype your friends up. Let's normalize it. Okay, next up, you are the content you consume. This is so true. So be careful of the type of podcast you listen to, the type of YouTube videos you watch, even the type of movies you watch, or books you read. You are what you consume, and this couldn't be more true. If I am reading something that talks about girls who are severely dieting, I can tell that my view on like working out and like health and fitness in its entirety shifts the entire time I'm consuming that piece of content. Or if I'm watching like a beauty makeover show, what I want to do, I want to do face masks and do my hair. Like, it's so true. It's kind of like, even like when you clean, like deep clean your room and you put on like a deep cleaning YouTube video, like it's whatever you watch often like matches the vibes of whatever moment you're in. So just be really careful to not overconsume negative and harmful content, because I think it can do a lot of harm. Okay, the next thing is sometimes you have to be hard on yourself. I know that sounds like out of the ordinary from what I would typically recommend, because you should go easy on yourself, but sometimes you gotta go hard on yourself. Sometimes you have to challenge the way you think and call yourself out when you're doing something wrong, and look for ways you can be a better friend, a better daughter, a better sister, a better girlfriend, wife, just a better person in general. And when you're wrong, admit it, or if there's something that you're scared of and it's hard or uncomfortable to step out of your comfort zone, but deep down it's what you need to do it. Like, it is okay to be uncomfortable. We need to make ourselves uncomfortable at some point, because being uncomfortable often means you are growing. And if you're comfortable your whole life, like, it's not going to lead to much growth. So sometimes we have to be a little hard on ourselves in terms of just being the ones to push ourselves into the direction that we need to go in order to grow and really find fulfillment in life, or feel fulfilled in life. And the next thing is grace, not perfection. Although we should push ourselves sometimes, we have to give ourselves grace. Nothing has to be perfect. I've learned this the hard way, wanting my entire apartment to be clean 24/7, for example. Sometimes give yourself grace. If you're exhausted, you had a long work day, and you really don't want to do the vacuuming, do it tomorrow. Give yourself grace and take that bubble bath or go for a hot girl walk. It is not that deep. You're going to be okay. You are doing great. So grace, not perfection. Number 23, it is better to have failed but tried than to have never tried at all. If you want to create a TikTok, if you want to try and pick up a new hobby, if you want to go up to that cute guy at the grocery store and ask him out, try. It's better to fail and have tried and at least know the answer than to never have tried at all. You will never get anywhere if you don't try. And if you fail 100 times, that's okay, because if you keep going, maybe the 101st time or the 101st time will be the time you actually succeed. Let's normalize trying things, even if you want to quit it. I have big quitter energy. I will try so many new things, decide I don't like them or they're not for me, and then just move on to the next, and that is totally okay. So if you want to do something and you're thinking of an activity or a hobby or anything that you really want to do, but you're holding yourself back, just try it. If you fail, that's okay. Because let's be real. We're all big losers that fail at life. No, okay, let's take that out, but it's kind of true. Okay. And number 24. What will be, will be. Just like the Doris Day song, que sera, sera. What is meant for you, I truly believe, it's already planned out. Like, what is meant for you will attract itself into your life at the exact moment you're ready for it. So just know that with every day, do your best to be the best version of you can, even if that best version of you can only lay in bed and read a book and take an Advil because you have a huge migraine, or you're feeling really upset. Like, that is the best you can do that day. That is okay. And the best you can do is wake up at 5 a.m., go to the gym, work a 9 to 5, come home, clean your entire apartment, pick up the kids from daycare, and live your best life. And that is the best version of you for that day. Like, each day comes with new challenges. Each day you feel different. You have different levels of motivation. But whatever you want in life, or when you think of like your ideal life when you are at the end of the road, I honestly believe that those big things that you want so badly will come at that exact moment, like at the right time. So just like in summary of all of these tips that I've given you, of things I've learned in my 20s, don't overplan things. Don't overthink it. Go in the direction of your dreams. Reevaluate your dreams to make sure they're things that you actually still want, because we can change. Surround yourself with great people. Know that if you feel like you're an imposter or if you feel like you're not good enough, you are, and everybody thinks that they're a loser sometimes. Everybody cringes at things they've done in the past or things that they've said. Everyone's hard on themselves. So go easy on yourself. Choose grace, not perfection, but push yourself when you need to, and be okay with the idea of being uncomfortable sometimes if it means growing, and trust the process, because what will be will most definitely be. So with that, I say thank you so much for listening to episode 3 of the Get Up and Glow podcast. This was a much longer episode than the other two, but I hope you got a lot out of it. I feel so good for just brain dumping everything I've learned in my 24 years of life. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please go ahead and follow us on Instagram at the Get Up and Glow podcast, and on TikTok at Get Up and Glow, and tune in for 2 Sundays from now for episode 4. So thank you. And with that, I say have a great day. Bye, everyone.